Okay, Grace, you're set?
Yep.
Okay, good evening. Welcome to the Monday, September 15th Hartland Selectboard meeting. It is 5:30. The first order of our business tonight are the minutes from the regular Selectboard meeting and the executive session on September the 2nd. I would entertain a motion to accept those.
So moved.
Thank you. A second?
A second.
Thanks, Grace. Any comments on those?
Yes, we are missing the 5 o'clock meeting site visit.
I noticed that myself. So there really are 3 sets.
I don't know there would be a third set of minutes so much as
I
just
just think prior to
Right.
the normal meeting, we should say we did a site visit at 5 o'clock.
Correct.
Right. So insert it
Yeah.
before we get going on
Yeah.
the minutes and others. Okay.
We'll capture that.
Okay. Any other changes, comments? All in favor, say aye. Moving right on to the warrants or orders, accounts payables through today, September the 15th. Again, I would entertain a motion to accept those.
So moved.
Is there a second? Thanks, Grace. Any comments?
So is this sort of the normal time of year where we do the appropriations?
We do.
Yeah.
Yep.
When I first started looking at that, I was like, what?
Yep. So this is, and a couple of them we do in halves.
Okay.
Most we do fully up front though.
Generally mid-September is when we send out checks.
Yep. When we get the money to pay the appropriations,
Oh, there you
we
go.
pay the appropriations.
Oh, that's right. I had to write a check last week.
And as I looked through them, I didn't go check the list, but is it pretty much all of them
Yep.
and a few in half?
Yeah, it's the fire and rescue I think we do in halves.
Okay.
Everything else we do in full. The other thing of note is that we didn't get the paperwork in time for this meeting, but we will have to do the half of our school appropriation at the next meeting. So if you thought this was a big payable,
Ouch.
the next one will be bigger.
Can you tell us what was going on with the need for Sablons on the number 5 breakdown? A $2,500 towing fee, it looks like, or maintenance fee, it's not clear to me.
Yep. So let me just find
On page 4.
Yep.
Or page 6, I'm sorry.
Yep. So there was at one point, as happens periodically, apparently, there was a bunch of like warning lights that came on in one of the trucks, so it went to Sable to have that checked out and fixed.
And John, is the payment to the town of Hartford for ambulance service, the contract, is that a complete amount?
Yep, that's our annual payment to them. Yep. There was a little confusion on
So
that.
it's flat. It's not a usage. Is it a flat fee with the
it's
usage
a per capita.
fee?
Yeah, it's a per capita. Yeah. Yeah, there was a little confusion with the initial invoice. They had kind of mixed up the town of Sharon and Hartland, so we had kind of a combined invoice, so it took a little clarifying.
Wow.
But
I'm glad it was caught.
we got a, well, when they said they were only providing service to 12 residents, I thought it was a bit of a red flag. So. All set though.
Any other comments? All in favor, say aye.
Right.
Motion passes. I just should have made a note at the beginning. Our colleague, Jenny, is away. Jim Riley will be here, but obviously he's delayed, but he is coming. The next order of business is the Lull Farm Lane reclassification. We did a site visit. We had a discussion. And John, do you want to update us on any findings?
So in essence, we did a site visit.
I'm sorry. Let's get public comments.
Do you have any adjustments to the agenda?
I knew we didn't, so I didn't. Okay.
John, I don't want to discuss, but are you giving the final update in the warrant to the town manager?
No, but I can give it to you now if you would like, Sherry.
But did anybody contact town constable?
Yes. And we've been kind of, as the constable does, he's been making phone calls, doing doing this kind of standard process once we give him the dog warrant. We've seen, 10 or 12 dogs come in since we sent the dog warrant out, so not a huge amount. I have the numbers because I thought this question might come up. Let me see which pile of paper I put them in.
Well, we still have probably over 100.
So we don't, so in essence, we don't know, right? We don't know how many dogs there are. We are as of today, at 498. Last year we had 523, so we're not far off from where we were last year.
498 dogs not
Registered dogs.
but they are officially in town.
Correct.
Okay, so what's the plan now? So basically, can the town constable document that he's contacted all the owners of those dogs?
He can document who he's talked to. There are a few people who have a significant number of dogs, and it would be my recommendation that we have the constable focus on those people. That will bring in 30 plus additional dogs just with a few property owners, and that will bring us back up to last year's numbers, and we continue to work on it from there. It is, go ahead.
All right, so my question is, following this for the last few years, nothing has changed because they're not officially being active impounding them. When the warrant specifically states impounding.
It does.
So is the town constable coming up with a set plan? Does he have a plan in place to reach compliance?
No, I don't believe we have a plan in place. I also don't believe it's the intent, though the dog warrant may say it, I don't believe it's the intent to impound all the unregistered dogs.
You can't, but you can start with one dog owner at a time. You can get the message out there. You can start with one dog owners, because what I'm trying to think is, what is the message that you are giving to the town, specifically to dog owners that are integrity and respectful and have registered their dogs?
Right.
Because right now, the message is, in my opinion, we don't need to register our dogs in town because nothing happens. There's not a negative outcome to that law in our ordinance.
Right.
So where do we go from here?
Well, there is a late fee associated with registering your dog after the deadline.
So how much have we collected?
But that number it's somewhat nominal, but I get that number from the town clerk who does the dog registrations. But it's
Well,
essentially nothing of note, right?
Okay, let's clarify that. When they come in late to register their dogs, the town clerk is collecting the fee.
Correct.
But you have right here, lack of current license and rabies tags, first offense warning or impoundment. You've got these fees here now
Right.
that you can connect with what the town constable has made contact with, and these fees should be going out. But we're not collecting them.
Not currently, correct.
Why not?
Because I think goodwill goes a long way, and I think issuing fines is not the approach the town or I would like to take.
So what is your plan?
Continue our typical approach, what has been our typical approach.
So again, what is your message you're sending the town regarding dog licenses? Why should we just register our dogs? For those of us that have integrity and respect what's in front of us here.
For the same reason that you stop at a stop sign even if there's not a police officer present, because it's the right thing to do.
Well, that's wrong. You may send people, but for instance, compare it with town taxes. You automatically apply penalties if they don't pay taxes. That's a revenue issue. It's not a safety issue. The reason why they have these dog laws are because public safety issues.
Right. So, I mean, I'm open to the conversation, but at this point, I would continue to say that goodwill and, phone calls and door knocks go a lot farther than fines and impoundment.
Yeah. I know I had a brand new neighbor that has 2 dogs and was totally unaware of needing fire permits or dog permits. So so let's continue to.
Well, I have a couple of questions.
Sure.
So if they haven't brought their dog in to get it licensed with the town,
Yep.
how do you know they have a dog?
So we don't. So the clerk and the assistant clerk do a lot of phone calls in the spring.
One thing you could do is go back to last year's and say, did these people come back? And if there's anybody that registered last year that didn't this year,
right.
Maybe they get a phone call, maybe their dog passed.
Right. So we do that. We do that prior to issuing the dog warrant, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we do that legwork ahead of time.
Okay.
The town clerks do an incredible job from January to the time that the warrant goes out, tracking all these things. It seems to, in my opinion, it just falls into an abyss once that warrant comes
I
out.
mean, what I'm getting at is it seems like you would have to knock on every door in the town to find out if they have any animals. Maybe they shut them in their bathroom for a few minutes and you can't see them. But how are we supposed to know who has a dog and who does not is the question.
The ongoing list from last year. The town-
Again, but if they
We
didn't
don't know
report
about
them
the
last year, then how do we know if they have a dog?
We don't know about the new ones coming in, but anyway, I'm just,
Like,
it's something to look at
it'd
and
be the right thing to do, but if you don't want to report that you have a dog, and you want to hide the dog, you're probably going to be able to do it in this town. So the question is, do we have someone that's going to go to every single house in the neighborhood? Is that what we're looking for here?
No. The reality is we're never going to capture every dog, right? There will always be dogs that are unregistered.
This has been an ongoing problem throughout my entire life, because I've heard about it every year forever. I understand the issue.
so, again, so you folks are willing to take liability should an event happen.
Well, hasn't the constable reached out after the warrant was issued?
Yes, he has been.
So he's done his due diligence.
He has been. We have not seen a significant increase in dogs that have been registered since the dog warrant was signed.
But if some of those dogs are on that list for 25 years, those owners may not feel the need to call back.
They might not feel the need to call back. Again, Ed, I will again say that there are a few owners who have upwards of, between 2 properties have 35 dogs on the list. So I would, my recommendation is that the select board, through me, have the constable focus on those who have multiple dogs, and we can start to check those off. And I talked with the clerk earlier today, we can redact the dog list and share it amongst staff internally and see, because there's a lot of names that people might recognize on there. So if you can kind of gently remind your friends and neighbors to come and register their dog, I have a feeling we will be able to get, to move that along.
Is there a number that is outstanding right now?
There is, I don't have it I don't have that number off the top of my head, but, Jimmy, you walked in after I said this. Last year we had 523 registered. Right now we're sitting at 498. In 2023 we had 598 registered. So, if we can get the 2 owners who have 32 dogs between them, and then a handful more, we're going to be back at or above where we have been kind of historically for the past 5 years.
Sounds like a reasonable plan.
So, well, that was what was registered. That is the number.
Right. That's what was registered, right? Not right.
Okay. Anything else on this?
Not for me, no.
Yeah, so you don't need a motion, you just.
Just
know what you're going to do.
yeah.
Okay. Any other public comments?
Representative Burrows is trying to get on. She says the meeting ID as printed in the agenda, it's getting turned down.
Race, can you put the meeting ID in the?
No, she can't see it.
She can't see it. That's caught my own answer there.
But you could,
If it's the one I used on our agenda, it worked, so.
you could text her the ID. If it's different, is it different than what's on?
It should not be.
I got it right here.
Yeah.
But John could just text her the ID.
Yes. Yes. I don't have an answer for that, though.
So,
That's saying, that's what post on the agenda, what we're using.
Yeah.
Maybe a technical issue will be all right.
Right.
What is he doing?
Going in John's office.
I guess I can.
Grabbing a pen, I suspect.
FaceTime.
She could just dial in.
I thought that was like, I'm like, there's no, don't go for snacks.
Are you going to? Can you text if we give you
Yeah.
the link? If someone share their agenda with the.
Sure, you have it readily. Sorry, thanks, Sherry.
Yeah, I got it right here, 827.
What's it, we're looking for a dial-in?
Is that Mary Blake?
Mary Blake?
Is that Mary Blake?
I don't know.
Okay. Sorry, your name? Yeah, that's what I thought. I just wanted to confirm.
You invited me.
I did. I'm just taking attendance tonight.
It's nice to see you again.
You too, Mary.
Let's move on. If there are no other public comments, let's move on to old business and Lull Farm Lane classification. Again, repeating myself, we had a site visit before the last September 2nd meeting. And John, you want to sort of give us any update on, we did some additional research, I believe.
Right. I think the answer here is the best course of action is to do nothing based on the presence of the wellhead in the middle of the town right of way. It presents issues that, I think are best left unaddressed at this time, because if we address them, it would perhaps the right course of action would be to have the wellhead removed from the town right of way, which is not what I believe the town's intent is. So I think at this point, there's not a need to change the classification from a class 4 road to a non-motorized legal trail. It was just simply a change in classification. And kind of, if we open that door, it creates more problems than I think answers in the long run. So I think the answer here is that my recommendation is to do nothing.
Okay. So I don't know if we need a motion for doing nothing, but.
Nope.
Okay. And you'll follow up with Mr. Ambrose?
Yep, I can let you know.
Okay. Moving on, at the last meeting, we heard a suggestion and understood that we needed to officially name Town Highway 8. And I believe the old business item is to correct the spelling.
Correct. I don't know that we specified the spelling in the motion, but just for clarity, Schroeter Road is Schroeter. So just for clarity, that Tom, your motion to rename it Schroeter Road was not associated with the spelling. I don't know if we want to remedy it or revisit it.
I'm not sure we need a motion since none of us.
It's just a spelling.
It's just a spelling, right? I don't recall it being recorded in the minutes, but just for clarity, it is not Schroeder, but
There was reference to peanuts.
so.
That's right where Tom's mind went.
Okay.
Cartoons. So.
Under new business, we will revisit the classification for a different reason. Okay, then moving on to new business, we have John and possibly a representative.
She's been trying the numbers you gave me, trying both the phone call and Zoom, so I'm gonna have to just try a FaceTime call. Okay.
Or do you just want to do the update? And
Well, she should participate because her area is that she is. Hi, you there?
I'm here.
So here, all right, so we're just coming on the agenda.
Try to bring your chair a little closer. Okay.
So I think you're just looking for an update, right?
Correct.
And kind of a forecast of what might be coming. As you, I'm sure, are aware, the legislature is not in session. We adjourned in June, which is later than usual due to the education bill. And we won't be in session unless something weird comes up until January. So not much is happening now. I'm certainly in garden mode as opposed to legislative mode, so trying to remember some of the details, we'll see. In terms of the legislative session, much of the focus last session was governor-driven and leadership-driven on education. So that's probably the most important. And I also want to say, when the session starts in January, we should probably do this again, January, February, because as we're coming into the season where the caucuses are meeting over the summer, and then when the session starts, the Democratic caucus, which Elizabeth and I are both members of the Democratic caucus, will be setting the agenda for the session. So we'll have a better idea of what's coming and what people are thinking in terms of our legislative colleagues at that point. Elizabeth, jump in anytime you feel like you want to add anything.
Well, I feel like we did actually do a lot. It's just that the education bill was so big at the end of the session that it eclipsed everything else.
Yes.
But we did do a lot of other things.
Yes, we absolutely.
I think we understand that. You know, it's more of that. Is there any intercession pieces that we should be aware of or be thinking of? And John, I think you were very clear that the agenda for the new session in January has yet to be set at this point.
Well, because the caucuses get together and they're going to be local meetings of our caucus, and then once we come together, there'll be whole caucuses of all of us, and that's kind of where we hear from everybody what they're thinking, what they're hearing from their constituents, and where we're trying to go. In terms of the last session, I think Representative Burrows certainly is correct. We did a lot of stuff. Education probably, arguably, has the potential of having the biggest effect on Hartland because of if we get redistricted, what happens to school choice? What does that do to demographics of the town? Because I know from knocking on doors that a lot of people are in Hartland because of school choice. And it's one of the things that makes Hartland attractive, as you all know.
Yeah.
And so that has effect on property values and where people can go to school. And I'm not hearing, Elizabeth, what's the name of that task force that's been meeting?
Well, it was broken up into 3 task forces. One is the Commission on the Future of Public Education in Vermont, which was already in effect for the last year and a half. It is now tasked with the 3 different levels of governance structures, deciding what gets decided at what level. That's the commission. Then there is a redistricting task force. The commission just met today. There's a redistricting task force, which is obviously meeting about drawing new district boundaries. And then there's also a task force assigned to voting wards. And they're all coming up with different components that the legislature will take into account starting in January. I should add also that in our supervisory union, I have put together a meeting this Thursday on September 18th between the boards of Windsor Southeast Supervisory Union, Mountain View's Supervisory District, which is Woodstock, and Hartford Supervisory District, just to discuss whether we think in principle it would be a good idea to get together. Now, the thing is, and I just asked the Commission on the Future of Public, I attend all of these meetings, but I attended the Commission on the Future of Public Education in Vermont meeting today, and I asked them whether they had decided whether to recommend preserving the supervisory union structure or whether they're going to do away with it and force everybody into a supervisory district structure. The difference between those two things is that in a supervisory district, there's no school choice. In a supervisory union, school choice is preserved for individual district. A supervisory union has a governing board that governs districts, just like we have in Windsor Southeast. We have the Mount Escutney board, the Mount Escutney district, which is West Windsor and Windsor, and then we also have Hartland and Wethersfield. Those are separate districts that have an umbrella board. That is our supervisory union. And we share some of the expenses and administration through that supervisory union level. In a supervisory district, it's just one district. So it can't have school choice within it. So that'll be one of the things that we talk about on Thursday is two different, a fork in the road, because it turns out, I heard back from Peter Conlon, who is the chair of House Education, and he told me that that is actually not a decision that any of these supplemental task forces or groups are charged with in the off session. The one group that is charged with anything is the redistricting task force, which has been asked to come up with 3 maps, of which one includes supervisory unions or the preservation of supervisory unions, and the other 2 do not have to. That is not to say that supervisory unions will or will not be preserved. We don't know yet. Apparently that is something that the legislature will take up in the next session, and it's likely to be a really hairy issue. But on Thursday, we are, these 3, 1 supervisory union and 2 supervisory districts, will get together and just talk about, in principle, do we agree that we should try to team up if the supervisory union model is preserved. That is and we're not going to talk about any details. We're just going to talk at the topmost level, do we agree in principle? And then the redistricting task force is accepting letters from groups that have chosen themselves as suggested new districts. So at the end of Thursday's meeting, we either will or will not write a letter to the task force telling them what we're thinking in this area.
Okay, thank you.
Those three supervisory, clusters equal about 3,800 students total. So it's sort of, kind of roughly the size that they're looking for.
This bill is very big. There's a lot of stuff in it, and it involved both the education committees and the House side Ways and Means. So there's tax stuff in it. It's big, it's complex, and from my perspective, neither Elizabeth nor I voted for it. We don't think it's good for our district at all. And in fact, I view it as damaging. Just today, I got a message from leadership, and there was a report there from the redistricting task force meeting. And I don't know who wrote this, but this kind of captured, and also I saw someone at Tunbridge Fair who's on this committee, one of my colleagues. But anyway, this says, we had hoped to have these maps for a thorough discussion at this meeting, meaning the one that just happened. But the lack of data from the Agency of Education caused us to be delayed until the next meeting. We still don't have quality data from them. It's a tremendous burden to the task force. We can't create reliable maps without it. And also it is raising concerns about whether the Agency of Education can truly support our schools as they go through the many changes required in redistricting. And that's the kind of the feeling many people in the House have, and I think in school boards and supervisory union boards that the agency of education is not functional. And in my book, one of the biggest mistakes we made, this is during the Shumlin administration, is when we handed over the Secretary of Education as a cabinet position, and the governor said now it's political, as opposed to running by the schools. And so we're stuck with that model. We're not going to easily change that. But it really feels to me that the agency is not functional, and I'm not optimistic about how this is going to go when the session starts, but it does have, in my opinion, really big implications for Hartland. So any information we get from you, we're Representative Burrows, being so intimately involved with school boards, she's so valuable to me and to the district because she knows this stuff so much better than I do. But we are in a pretty regular contact with all of our school boards and the supervisory union as the last bill as we were going through, what they thought of it, and going forward.
John, I just want to add that the Agency of Education has been publicly pushing back on some of the data requests that the redistricting task force made at the very beginning of their, cadence of meetings. And I want to clarify that having attended every single one of those meetings, as well as every single commission meeting, I know for a fact that the majority of the data that was requested from the Agency of Education was actually requested by the commission more than a year ago. It's just that the Agency of Education was not able to come up with that data. So
I'm a little confused whether this is a political maneuvering or a technical issue. That the data, I'm very aware that the data systems are fairly archaic. So is it a matter they can't get the data out of the systems, or is it really? And I want to be careful of the time. So let's just.
Yeah, it is not a political thing. It is really a lack of expertise at the Agency of Education, lack of capacity.
Yeah.
It's not really their fault, but it just is a fact that they don't have the capacity to come up with the data.
That was my understanding.
And one example
is they're not.
So Tom has a question, and then we need
they're not
to.
dragging their feet on it or anything like that. It's just that they don't have the expertise.
Okay.
Hi, Liz. Excuse me. Hi, Elizabeth. This is Tom Kennedy. And I understand how difficult this bill was at the end of the session. I know you have a number of years to try to sort through it, but as a select board member, you also need to understand 75% of our taxes go to education. It is really placing a burden on us to try to maintain our roads, buy equipment, pay our people well. So my point in saying this is something has to change.
Yep.
You can't be spending what we're spending per pupil and make Vermont work. John talks about people moving into Hartland. People are going to be moving out of Hartland because the property taxes are so high. Blue collar people living in this town are really, really struggling, and I hear that all the time. So I don't know what the solution is, but right now it's not working.
The forecast I've heard about the bill is that it really does nothing, at least in the short term, to address cost. A lot of what the bill's trying to do is address equity, because there's some school districts that evidently students are not getting what they need. And my own, in talking to people in Hartland, they're concerned about property taxes, definitely concerned about that. But I'm hearing nobody say we want to reinvent our school, that we're unhappy with the way the school or the supervisory union and the school board works. I'm not hearing anybody say that. All they do is complain about taxes, understandably.
I will also say that during the commission meeting today, they actually had a long discussion about whether they're putting together a survey of some sort to send out to the public to collect more opinion and whatever. But they had a long discussion about whether they should say that they plan to close schools and whether they should say that this now law is intended to reduce cost. And what they decided was to not say that it is intended to reduce cost. They instead said that it is intended to control spending. So you take that as you will, and then I'm just directly reporting out what I heard today.
Well, I'm sure we need to get on to other things in this with the select board, but are there any issues from your end that you wanted to bring up of what we did besides
I think that's the big.
Education is the big,
Yeah,
it's,
right.
it's the big topic.
For the
Do you want
reasons
to
that
mention anything about
articulated.
housing or?
I don't have it. I think
I think
if
we're
we,
really said, I think you set the tone for this coming January is going to be even more interesting than last term. And
But I
I
didn't even touch on the budget.
yeah.
Well, I think one of the things is that the bill, as it passed into law, has several, as I said, exit ramps. But the thing is that those three commissions or whatever groups, if the General Assembly doesn't adopt all three of those components, each of those components leads to another section of the bill. And if each of those things don't come to pass, then the new funding formula will, it'll all actually fall apart. There's all these different possibilities for it to either change and transmogrify or mutate into something else or be dropped. And one of the goals is to get to this new funding formula. So just to be aware, that'll be part of the circuits in January. And one more thing, which is that it is tied to the housing bill in a way, partly because housing obviously is tied to education by way of property taxes, but also by way of population and whatnot. I've also heard from quite a few Heartlanders a desire for an income-based funding formula for the education fund instead of property taxes. And one of the things that was put into the housing bill this year was we've already started a tax increment financing program for bigger towns. And this year we added on kind of like a mini tax increment finance program called the Housing Infrastructure Program. And which is great. It'll allow for smaller towns like mine to be able to get some infrastructure funding. But both of those programs require an investment of 20 years through the education fund, which means that property taxes, because those are tied to property taxes, any notion of an income-based formula is at least 20 years away.
I'm getting the message they need to get on with other business.
Yep,
So
I do too.
I think we need to wrap. Oh, you got another meeting.
Yep.
We've touched on like 2 bills out of hundreds. But
Thank you.
yeah.
Thank you for having us.
Well, I think I would like us to try to do a better job of having you in on a quarterly basis or something so that we can stay in better touch.
Well, and I'm always trying to send a message that if you hear of something the legislature has taken up, if we have taken up, certainly, or even if you think we might take it up that affects the town, I may not have thought of that. So please share that early on while the bill, many, again, there are hundreds of bills, but most don't get taken up. There just isn't time, and some of them aren't worth taking up. But if they do come up and they go into committee, then's the time to try to make our voices heard. And
Then you can help shepherd it through.
we can try.
Yeah.
Our success in the Ed bill was not very impressive, but in any case, don't hesitate to let us know if you hear of something that is of concern to the select board and Hartland. Okay?
Okay.
Thank you, John.
Thanks, Elizabeth.
Thank you, Elizabeth.
And thank you for the opportunity.
I'll be in touch in January, February.
Okay, good, thank you. Bye, Elizabeth.
Okay, moving on to a more black and white item on the agenda. We have a liquor license request. John?
Yep, this is a catering request for an event being held at 79 Green Pot Road on September 20th. It's a wedding reception.
Paperwork in order. Anyone have any questions?
I'm just confused by the dates. It looks like it's a year.
September, on page 2 of the September 20th.
Primary application.
Page 2, start date and time of the event on the top right of the back page, September 20th, 2025.
Okay, so it won't extend beyond the one event, one day.
Correct, it is a one-day event.
Appears to be a wedding reception.
No, see,
I'm a neighbor, how would I get invited?
Okay, Tom's not invited, so okay, can I get a motion if there's no question?
So moved.
Okay. All in favor of the liquor license application 64667, say aye. Aye. Motion passes. Okay, we are back talking about town highway 8. In our packets, we have a lot of information which I wound up, thought I understood going through it, and then I wound up late this morning saying, I can't drink any more coffee and I really don't get all the nuances here. So I'm going to ask John to step us through it and try to understand what's going on.
yeah, and actually with us is Doug Linnell from the Lister's office who can help to kind of answer some questions as well. You'll see the email from Doug in your packet. So what we have found is that in discussion with Doug and residents is that currently now Schroeter Road off of Barron Hill is a class 3 road until it turns the corner and drops down the hill towards Advent Hill, where it becomes a class 4 road. There was a discussion in 2021 about discontinuing a certain section of this of the class 4 road. There was a lot of feedback on it. That's what the red book is for on the table. In additional research, though, it appears that the road as it sits today is actually on private property and owned by someone else. The land itself.
The class 4 section.
The class 4 section of the road is on land owned by a private property owner. So
how do we clearly know that?
The surveys show that the existing stone wall is on the opposite side of the road. Then you can see that on this survey that was included in the packet. Yeah. So there's 2 surveys here.
Yeah, which survey, yeah.
So they're the same.
One?
So one is newer,
Right.
the Lobdell survey is an older survey,
Right.
which you can see the stone wall on the opposite side. And then this newer survey is from, is essentially showing the same thing, but with a subdivision taking place on the existing parcel. That's the only difference. Doug, do you want this for your own reference?
I hadn't seen the subdivision one.
Yeah. So that's how we know that.
But it's still our right of way, isn't it? Regardless of whose property it is.
So yes, our right of way, but on private property. Now, unlike most town roads where we own the right of way and, and the property line is on either side. Correct.
So can you restate that? Jim asked if the town still has the right of way, and you answered yes.
We have a right of way on the property.
Okay.
However, we don't own the land on which the road, the actual land,
Right.
unlike most town roads, where we own the land.
So
And so then, do we have a class 4 road, or we just have a right of way?
Well, so it's an interesting question, and I don't know the answer to that. There's a couple things going on. One, Mary Blake is here. Mary has a driveway off of the class 4 section of the road, and there's another driveway to an adjacent property.
Can we use that, because I get so confused, can we use this survey to show where Mary's property is, where things start? I know, but you know.
Yep, so for the sake of conversation, Mary's driveway is off the north, so basically you see that pin in the bend there?
Here?
Nope, move down. Mary's driveway is right about here.
Right here.
Yep.
Okay, yeah,
And then the other driveway to the existing parcel is a little further south.
it's here, okay. And the,
But we believe that's the class 4 section or the class 3 section?
That is all, once you turn the corner from what is now Caroline Lee's driveway, it becomes a class 4 section, it becomes a class 4 road.
so,
And we stopped, and we ceased maintaining it.
so Barron Hill Road, which
Yes.
is on the western side,
Yes,
when it makes that right-hand corner.
Yep.
We now have a class 4 road.
we have a, no, that is a class 3 road.
This is a class 3.
That
road.
is a class 3, this right here is just for everybody following along, this is a class 3 road right here. This is a class 3 section of road that we plow and maintain.
Can you point to where Mary's driveway is?
Mary's driveway, Mary, correct me if I'm incorrect, I'm making a best approximation here. Mary's driveway is approximately here as you're going down the class 4 section of road. Right about halfway down the class 4 section of road, Mary. Yeah. So Mary's driveway is about
Where that
halfway down
snout
the class
is,
4
of
section.
sorts.
Yeah, headed towards Advent Hill.
Yes. So at the corner, does the class 3 turn to a class 4?
Yes.
Okay, yep.
So you pay to have that section plowed?
So, excuse me.
Yep,
I'm sorry.
The history was that I bought the property
And a joke,
and the town had given
excuse me.
the right, the town had said I could make a driveway there.
Right.
So there was no road really, it was all kind of washed out.
Like the
It was like
very,
a trail.
you know, like the very, like the piece that touches Advent Hill today, it was
Pretty much
pretty
that,
rough.
and they said I could pick either side or both, to fix that whole section.
Yeah. But you
Because,
maintain it in winter time?
yes, I had the road built in order to build the studio with basically 3 subdivided sections on my property. And it was always a question in my mind, when to do the whole road, just because of the way the road turns at the top and there's a sharp hill on the turn. And it's really one way, but if there were more people in and out of there, you'd want to have the space for the right kind of vehicle. And I have the right kind of vehicle, but with more people, obviously. But now I'm just learning that it isn't even an official road.
Well,
Well, it's an official road.
It's official right away and official.
It's not really a class 4 road, sorry.
Currently it's a class 4 road. There's a little confusion around it though, because it's a class 4 road on what is in essence private property.
And I do maintain it, yes. Sorry, that was your question, I didn't answer that.
So, but Mary could potentially be one of the private property owners?
No, it's not her.
It's not her, it is not your property,
So
unfortunately.
Just another
Thank you.
follow-up, when Town Highway 8 was in front of the select board for discontinuance, and it was maintained that it would stay a class 4 road from top to bottom, that experience, I wasn't here, but I was involved just because Roger Kessler had said,
let's make sure the town wants that to be discontinued. So I helped write a petition. I'd never written one before. It was really interesting, actually, to get involved with what the town wanted, because it's a beautiful trail, and it happened to be my driveway. However, then when the neighbors did, Lobdell's property was purchased, which was right before that, there was a disturbance around children in the road, particularly the ones that I was around, where the trucks that were coming in and out were really scaring them. And I let the town know that I didn't know why and who was not aware that I was working. So we moved the children out of the way. However, the people did not want to do a driveway agreement for any, like, nothing to do with me at all, because I think, now I understand, it's their land, you know, it's like I have a road on top of their land, I have a driveway on top of their land. But they don't, they've told me legally they want nothing to do with the driveway agreement, which has always been very awkward, so I just maintain it myself, because that's what I did in the beginning. But I just would want you to know that history, only because I don't know what else to do with it at this point.
So you share your driveway with another party?
They have trucks and people coming in and out quite often, and big parties and gatherings there, but there's no house there yet, but they're planning on building a house.
There is another driveway off of, just beyond Mary's driveway,
Yeah.
off of the Class 4 section of road.
Is that where they put culverts in?
That is where a private party put in a culvert crossing the Class 4 town road.
With permission from the town?
I hope I was clear.
That predates me, but I don't believe so. Doug, can you speak to the statement Mary just made about continued access to her property?
Yeah, so it's my understanding that, well, this has to do when a town throws the road up, which is my understanding has not happened here.
Correct.
But when it was my understanding with some other properties in town that when a town throws a road up, the intent is to not create any landlocked parcels. So if you once had a right-of-way on that road, then that stays with the land, like right-of-ways are intended to stay with the land no matter who owns it. That's why they follow in the deed and everything. But it would be, typically, if the town owned the road and threw it up, they would divide the road up the middle to whoever the abutters are, to give them a little more land.
Yeah.
And if you ever had right-of-way to use that to get to your parcel, the owner of that parcel would continue to have that right-of-way to get to their parcel. So
Either if it's on somebody else's land?
Or if they have to go through somebody else's land to get to their land. So that happened on Old Birch Road, say that was discontinued, it used to connect to Lord Road, and there's a couple properties up in there that's their access up Old Birch through somebody's dooryard to get up to their property. Some woodlot or something.
So a new property owner can't come in and basically make an existing property landlocked. They have to provide the access.
I'm sorry, could you say that again?
I'm trying to figure out the access issue. You just said
Right.
a property can't be landlocked.
So on the one hand, in my opinion, I guess, if Town Highway 8 was a Class 4 road that had permission for Mary to use it as her driveway, she's been maintaining it and stuff, that sounds like she had legal access to her property through that way. I don't know, I'm not a lawyer. But then, if this was going to change it, make it private property or something, it seemed there might be an argument that if she once had legal access through that way, that would continue.
That would be maintained.
But we would have to run that by a lawyer.
I don't know, I would certainly run it by a lawyer, but I'm just saying,
Right. But we have a town
this is
right
a
of way.
little unusual case.
So what's the question?
So the question is, so I think there's an issue here in that we have a right-of-way on private property that I think we should clarify. I don't know as if there are additional structures to be built, as I think, is the intention down the road. There's a Class 4 section of road that we don't maintain. whether or not we want to, and given the ownership concerns, whether or not we want to maintain ownership over a kind of questionably owned Class 4 road now, or we could turn it into a private road and discontinue the Class 4 section of road. So long as we could be assured
what benefit does that create?
it takes one less road off of our, maintenance obligations to start.
If it's a private road, then does the discussion that Doug just led us through hold up, and is Mary left land?
Right, so I think that was the second half, right? Like, so we could turn it into a private road so long as we could be assured that the owners of that property, Mary's property now, in perpetuity have access to that land.
So we did this a few years ago, and we had an idea, right, to give it up, and it created chaos, right? Why don't we just I don't mean maintain the road, maintain our right of way, which we have, so that Mary has access to her property, and it's not an issue that has to go get legal.
So I think the only difference between the conversation today and the conversation that happened a few years ago is that in no reference to the conversation from a few years ago do I see the ownership issue over the land.
That's correct.
But it's still our right of way. So we have the right of way. We keep it. Mary maintains her, does her winter plowing so she can get in and out of her driveway. Why do we change it?
Because we don't know what kind of right of way it is. It could be a utility right of way. There's all kinds of right of ways.
There's been a Class 4 road there for.
Well, what he's saying is maybe it really wasn't.
Right. So I think I have questions on, just like Tom was just saying.
We're lay people here. I really think the suggestion that we seek legal clarification on this with some suggested sort of next steps, I think is really the best thing to do. Otherwise, we're all talking. I can add to the conversation, but I'm speculating. But
the other thing I think we need to do is, so I spent a little bit of time before the meeting, and I went through our road ordinance. The language for our Class 4 road is awful. Yeah. Absolutely. And all we're doing, it's so vague. All we're doing is creating future problems for people who are sharing a Class 4 road, because there's nothing in there that says you have to agree. There's nothing, and no offense to you, Mary. I mean, my feeling is Class 4 roads were meant to be, if you had a camp or something, not for permanent dwellings. Right. And now all of a sudden it appears, and that, and I don't know really what's going on, that there's a potential subdivision up there, and and it's off a Class 4 road.
But it's not the only Class 4 road.
But what I'm trying to say here, though, is we have this very vague language, and then we refer to a state highway provision that really doesn't refer to a Class 4 road. It's for Class 3 road or higher.
Doug, you had a comment?
I would just say that based on this survey, it looks like that this parcel is going to be split in 3, and automatically that would mean they would need to have a private road named. When you get more than 3, get 3 on a driveway, it becomes a private road. And so that would, with Mary's property, force at least some of this to be a new road.
Right, because Mary has
a new road name for this stretch, because it'll still be Town Highway 8.
You're saying that the Green Mountain Pool may be subdivided? Is that the area that maybe?
It looks to me on this survey that would be the intent. You've got 3 there, plus there's Mary's parcel is all trying to access this stretch at least. So that's going to be another consideration in terms of the name of that, because the actual Town Highway 8 goes from one road name to another,
right?
As they do, I guess. But it's, but the overall intent with like the 911 system is getting emergency vehicles in there and stuff, and the fact that you can't go from this stretch of Town Highway 8 onto Levental, because that's really,
It's not habitable.
it's not a road.
These 3 parcels all border a town road. So there are other access
But in
points to those
fact,
parcels.
you know, okay, but looking on the map, so, but however, I would, you know, that if there's a site visit involved here, it might be worth having a look to see, is that a really, you've got this kind of access versus, do I have to go up, you know, go through a big ditch and bulldoze something significant, you know, might be a consideration.
Yeah, I don't think the bordering is not, you know, having been up there, I think the access to those, especially those lower 2 subdivided parcels, logically would come off of what is currently the Class 4 section of Town Road.
Okay.
And, you know, and I don't know, this is the question, is I think we need to clarify. If we do nothing and we continue to see further subdivisions up there and additional E911 addresses, and we do nothing, at a certain point, we can't let it continue to be a Class 4 town road. Our obligation might be to turn it into a Class 3 town road, which there's a, you know,
But we can't predict the future, right? We only know what's true today.
Correct, but we need to be prepared for what might be coming towards us. And
there's 3 lots up on Jenny Road in the Class 4 section. I mean, the scenario already exists.
Yeah, I don't know that. And I'm also confused as I look at this pretty hard. It looks like there's 4 lots. There's the Green Mountain Pool cluster is 8.4 acres, and then parcel 1 is 4.4, parcel 2 is 2.0, and parcel 3, and all of a sudden there's a logging operation, a clear cutting operation going on up there that, so we need to get this straightened out quickly.
so current ownership is one person owns all of this property, and what they're doing is private, you know, they're maintaining their own private property. We have no business in what is going on.
Right.
But
I was going to say another option, I believe, is that you could choose to throw up that section of road, in which it would become private road,
right.
strictly here, and then the question would be of access, I think, for
Exactly.
Mary's property, that she continue to use the section that she's been using and maintaining since she's.
But you're going to get legal advice. I'd
Yes.
rather not introduce a complexity into her life.
Okay.
By throwing up the road and having her have to negotiate access.
Well,
It's our road right now. She can have it.
Wouldn't we have to have permission?
But would state, the question is, the state statutes, as I read,
Does that-
say you
does it
can't,
right, does it provide-
lose a right of way to get to that property if that's how you.
Which is a legal opinion.
Right, so we'll contact an attorney who will do probably much of this, you know, deed research. But I think we need to answer the question.
I'm assuming we'd have to have the landowner that the road is on be in agreement with anything that,
If we make a change.
if we make any changes, obviously.
I have had a preliminary conversation with the current property owners over there,
Yes.
and at least in quick conversation, they were amenable to that.
Okay.
Okay, can I just glance
I'll follow tomorrow, Mary, that's good.
we do have as a future agenda item, getting back to the road.
Right, policy, so I think that,
Which is a couple of different policies that all have to be.
correct, kind of meshed into one policy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, again, Doug, thank you. Mary?
Yeah, thanks, Doug.
Yeah.
Any questions at this point?
Nice to see you back with the band.
Not, thank you. It's not that all the answers today, but I wanted to clarify that I heard it correctly. And John can do that with me later, but there'll be some legal lawyer involvement to
Correct.
determine the town's responsibility here when such a road gets
Correct,
built up, so to
correct.
speak, and that you want to do that as soon as possible because there happens to be a lot of different activity at the top of the road, which is a class 3, but if the bottom got too busy, which is the class 4 section that I live on, we want to make sure that it was determined whether it was private or a town right away because the legalities.
I just want to, I think whatever is happening up there on private property not driving the issue. The fact that we now know of this problem or concern is driving us to try to find a solution to that.
The problem being that the town doesn't own the property.
Correct.
And the historical records, there's not a dollar purchase anywhere.
There is not that we've ever come across, right?
Yeah,
So,
I thought it used to be Barron Hill all the way down through there, is what I was
Right.
told. But yeah, you would know better because you've got those records. I was curious because somebody had told me there was a transfer of a dollar.
Right. I think what's happening is that there was a lot of, historically, this person said this thing, and therefore it kind of just
But
came
now
to be
it's recorded.
local knowledge, but not necessarily accurate local knowledge.
But I think Clyde had said that he used to connect up to Adams Hill. It was the main road before the road you connected.
Yes, it was. It was Barron Hill.
All right, so
So it had to have.
there is something from the past that says that is a town road.
Yeah.
And it's been, we've got maps,
Yeah.
you know, the 40s that show, actually, they were gonna discontinue it, but it was still, you know, labeled as Town Highway 8, as it is currently labeled on today's.
Yeah.
Sure,
But
I
don't
also,
keep it the same. And not because I need to, it's because it feels historical and it feels unregistered properly. I would like that cleared up. And obviously, I think having a shared private road will be a disadvantage for me, having built what I built on that road, the way that I determined access to my home, and it will be landlocked.
Mhm.
So there's going to be, for whoever has that property in the future, if it's not me,
yeah, right.
questions around the private road
Right.
that will be another piece of what, you know, why I even bought the property in the first place, regardless of all the disturbances, you know. I'm just putting that down, it is what it is. And I don't feel like they've done anything, you know, to me personally, but I do feel like that road was, you know, kind of why I bought the place the way I bought it.
Right.
And I would like that to be as protected as possible for myself and into the future. I don't plan to sell it, but it would be, you know, a difficult choice of mine
Okay.
to have to make. Thank you. I didn't even know that this was going to come up today, but I appreciate your helping me understanding
Well, thank you.
challenges.
And again, thank you, Doug. Just one additional item, that this whole area that we're talking about from Brothers up Advent, Advent Road was not plowed during the winter from Bloodvale's original house on, close to Brothers, all the way up to where Barron cuts in. So all the activity has really happened since 1984, 85.
Wow.
On that part.
Was there does anybody, I'm going to go to the historical society, I looked online and I can't find it. Does anybody know where the church was on Barron Hill? I'll have to ask Clyde.
Yeah, okay.
Yes,
Well, come to
there
the
was a
community
church.
breakfast, because he's looking for questions to ask when he gives a talk. Okay, thank you again.
Thanks, Doug. Thanks, Mary.
Thank you.
Yeah, give me a call tomorrow, I'll reach out.
Okay,
Okay.
yeah, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Moving on to the Greater Upper Valley Solid Waste District, I understand we have an esteemed individual that represents the Greater Upper Valley Waste District. Waiting for him.
Do you want me to stay here, or do you want me to go on the other side of the table here? So, for the record, my name is Tom Kennedy. I am the district manager for the Greater Upper Valley Solid Waste District. The Greater Upper Valley Solid Waste District owns property that abuts Mill Street and Quarry Road, with most of the property up off of Quarry Road. For those that have not been there in a number of years, 6 years ago, we built what we call a transfer station, which is basically a concrete building with a roof. And we then have a lease with a company called AgriCycle. AgriCycle collects organics, both residential, institutional, most of it is from restaurants. They take, and we refer to most of those as packaged goods. They take these packaged goods, they put them in 55-foot trailers, and they bring them up to a dairy farm that they own up near Bangor, Maine, and they run it through what's called a depack machine. Depack machine basically removes the plastic bag, it removes the little plastic clips, then they run it through an anaerobic digester, creates heat and steam, they create electricity. The byproduct from that they use for bedding for the cows. So that's and then also up there is we have a compost facility. I know Phil in the past has been, and what we do is we take what we call clean organics. So this is the stuff that you use in your kitchen or whatever. On Saturday, they take it there. You'll see, if you go to the Hartford transfer station, they have roll-offs there where you can dump the stuff. We take the stuff, we compost it, we make soil out of it, and we sell it. We are in the process, we have a meeting on Wednesday. We are in the process of issuing a request for interest to expand the operations up there. We have about a $800,000 investment up there, and we would like to see more revenues coming into there. There's also been a lot of changes in New Hampshire. If people go to the Lebanon landfill nowadays, you notice it costs you more to get rid of your trash in the bag. They also are trying to discourage people from using their landfill. They're basically trying to do is have their landfill for the city of Lebanon, Hanover, and so on, because they want to extend the life of the cell. So there may be interest in other waste haulers to start to use our facility as a transfer station. So people would bring, more waste. Instead of going to the Lebanon landfill, they would go up, dump their stuff at our place, and then it gets transferred to a landfill. The landfill generally will you can go to Coventry up in northern Vermont, can go to New York State, can go to a variety of different places.
Tom, are you talking about additional residential traffic or additional truck traffic?
So the bridge across the interstate there and the Quechee Road are both privately owned. The Greater Upper Valley Solid Waste District owns the bridge. Twin State Sand and Gravel owns the road. Both the district and Twin State does not want to see residential traffic on that road, given the number of dump trucks and other things. We just, people get a phone call, they get a text, next thing you know, you get the swerve, and somebody, if you've been there, it's pretty hilly, and these trucks can get going when they're going down the hill. We just don't want to see an accident happen there. So it's only going to be commercial traffic. What we do on maybe 3 or 4 times a year, on a Saturday, we allow residential traffic to come in to get compost and things like that. So the reason I'm bringing this up is that it's not going to be anywhere near the kind of truck traffic that you see coming out of Twin State now. People hauling gravel and stone and whatever. But there will be, hopefully, if we're successful, will be an increase. Right now, we're generating 10 trips a day. And with this, what we're hoping to do is maybe it'll be 40 trips a day, something like that. Right? It's purely speculative.
But you're going down basically a class 4.
It's not a class 4 road, it's a private road.
Private
road, it's wide, it's paved.
It's probably one of the nicer roads. It's nice to have a sand and gravel company and a company that has a blacktop business.
So is your place is accessible from the paved road?
Yes.
Not the class 4?
Correct.
That's correct.
We can access Mill Street.
Yeah. But you're coming in the paved road.
But we're
So
coming
it's not
all
impacting those
paved.
roads.
All access no access, no additional traffic over Mill Street.
And hopefully we'll build more infrastructure, help the tax base, in the town. I wish I could say it would be a lot of jobs. They're gonna be too many jobs, but. So, I have that meeting Monday. Actually, it's gonna be here. I have, a draft, a request for interest, and we'll just discuss it.
So should there be interest, is this a roughly a 3 to 5 year expansion, or do you think it might happen?
So we would like to see some activity within 2 years, but we have to go through all the permitting. So right now, we have an underlying Act 250 permit. We're gonna have to go back and an amendment to that permit. We also have to get solid waste permits, so we have a bunch of permitting we gotta do.
Okay. Well, it sounds very interesting, and I think the composting and the regeneration, generating fuel is very sustainable and environmentally friendly.
Right, and that's what we're trying to do.
Yeah. Okay. Any questions for Tom? Okay.
Thanks, Tom.
Thank you. Okay, then we're ready to go on to the town manager update.
Sure. So we are continuing to get concerns regarding the Four Corners intersection, just the kind of the curve of the road, especially if you're coming off of Mace Hill there. So I'm working with the Two Rivers Regional Planning Commission and V-Trans to have to talk about traffic calming measures, what options exist. That looks like it's going to happen most likely the first week of October. But again, we're kind of getting continued concerns there. The heat pump is still being installed tomorrow at the Historical Society, just so we're all aware that that will be happening. The town plan is scheduled for a public hearing on October 22nd. The Planning Commission is taking care of everything in partnership with the Two Rivers Regional Planning Commission. The public hearing will go out in the Valley News the week of September 29th, so it's a little closer, but everything is on track there. Phil mentioned earlier, had a successful tax sale on Friday. All 3 properties were sold to private parties, so there was no town involvement there. We need to talk about a highway truck and getting an order in for a new 10-wheeler. It's that time of year. We are struggling to get multiple quotes from people. We're kind of...
We have one 10-wheeler on order.
That we did last fiscal year. Yep.
I'm sorry, just to refresh my memory. So we also replacing the bad truck.
We did replace the bad truck, the 550 last year with an F600.
Okay.
So that is sitting in the shop waiting to go up to Viking to be outfitted for a plow.
Okay.
We anticipate, hopefully, fingers crossed, we get that back Q4 this year. And the 10-wheeler is the same situation.
Okay. And that's our second of 2.
10-wheelers, correct. This will be the second of 2 10-wheelers. For the 10-wheeler last year, we traded in 2 trucks to reduce the price. This year, we will only have the 1 truck to trade in. But hopefully we can anticipate getting a little more for it. But somewhere in the $70,000 to $80,000 range would be great on the trade-in.
What's a new one, roughly?
$275,000 outfitted with the plow. So the issue is we have 1 quote from who we typically buy trucks from. It's been difficult to get feedback from other vendors, but we do have a policy that we should get 3 quotes from folks.
Why is it difficult? Do they not have inventory?
They don't have, not only do they not, well, nobody has inventory kind of readily available. I think towns and Hartland in particular tend to go with the same trucks because we know them. So if I know I'm going to buy a Ford, why does Chevy want to give me a quote, right? Why waste their time?
So that was my question.
Right.
Is it worth expanding to other manufacturers? I mean, Freightliner seems to be what the town is used for that size.
Western Star. Is the truck of choice.
Is there an out-of-state Western Star dealership that you can just get a second?
We could look to go farther afield and get a second quote from a Western Star dealer.
I don't see the need for 3.
Yeah, I think that too,
Okay.
just,
Right.
you know.
It's been a kind of a constant struggle, so,
So,
okay,
you know, if it's impossible in the next 2 weeks,
then we can go.
and do you have enough money?
Yes, yeah, this is like in the budget, right? You know, the backhoe that we bought was not out of the budget. We bought that straight from the capital fund, but we anticipate these purchases, you know, on a yearly basis.
Did we get the back one?
We had the backhoe
I saw it last week.
working.
The guy went by. I was outside. I started clapping. I think he thought I lost my mind.
Yeah.
He didn't know who I was or whatever. Giving him the thumbs up.
Well, if I can picture the day that he might have had 2 hands on the steering wheel because there might have been a little air in the brake line, so I think we were. It might have been a little soft coming down the hill.
He was moving.
Probably not my choice. That issue has since been resolved. The backhoe is fully operational with both, you know, and it stops when we want it to now. So it's been out kind of doing catch-up work that we were delaying most of the summer, basically.
So which fund did the backhoe come out of?
The backhoe came from the equipment fund.
The equipment fund?
Yeah.
Which is what you're using for the 10-wheeler?
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Correct. But the 10-wheeler would be a planned purchase from the equipment fund versus the backhoe was an unplanned purchase. Yeah. Yeah. So we'll get multiple quotes. And then just, it's worth noting, just as we head into kind of budget season, I'm seeing a significant increase in the number of construction permits that are coming through my office. I don't know if that's due to increased construction or increased awareness of the need for the construction permit. But you know, we're moving it along pretty quickly here. It's not a big time commitment on my end, but it's good news, I guess, ultimately. And then just for everybody's, one other thing, we have asbestos and radon tests back for Four Corners. Those came in late Friday afternoon. We're still waiting on quality control for the lead tests. Once we have them, I'll share it with the board and with both Four Corners and the potential new tenant at the Four Corners building.
So you want to do it all at once?
Right, all at once. Okay. Exactly. I mean, I took a quick look through the asbestos tests and it kind of came back as expected. There's kind of some nominal, there's some asbestos in the areas that we thought there would be, you know, the boiler room and things like that. And then just, you know, I mentioned it before, I'm out of the office all of next week, starting late Friday afternoon, and I will be largely unavailable until the following Monday.
I'll talk to you about the chain of command.
Yeah.
What's happening when you're away.
Yeah. I told him to call me if the building burns down, but don't anticipate any action because it's already burned down.
Don't joke.
No, yeah, no. And that's it.
Okay. Future agenda items, North Hartland covered bridges, town highway and culvert policy, which just came up earlier, the capital plan. Is that still on the agenda?
Yeah, we just need to finalize it and get it warned and adopted.
But I think the issue was there's still more that needs to be flushed.
Right, so you had some additional questions that I was still working on.
Okay.
Yeah.
The Quechee Road. I know we have some correspondence in our packets for Mayor Campbell requests. Is there other correspondence?
There is no other correspondence, no.
Okay. Then we have 2 executive sessions tonight. I would suggest we do the Mayor Campbell first in case there's an action. The second is the HR employment, and I don't think there would be an action per se there.
Could I ask for our next board meeting, how the select board wants to handle reviewing the town plan? Are we going to wait till all the public? I'm wondering, because if we wait to the very end and then we take our time, it just could really prolong getting this thing adopted. And so I don't know how we want to, how to proceed in
the last
doing that.
planning commission was asking if we had feedback so they could potentially incorporate it before the public hearings or before they handed it off to us. So my sense is start diving into it.
It's the town plan as approved by the planning commission is now available on the town website and available for viewing in the town clerk's office. And if you would like a hard copy, let me know. We can make that happen.
I'd like one.
Trace would like a hard copy.
Bound. With the leather.
That comes out of your stipend.
Okay, then are we ready to go into the second executive session? For the American.
Mr. Jim.
I'd make the motion that we go into executive session under 1 BSA 313A6 to discuss American Campbell request.
I'll second the motion. Okay.
I'll make a motion that we enter executive session under 1 VSA 31383.
We have to make a public announcement of what,
I just have no action.
okay, do we make that? That's recorded? Okay.
So a motion that 1 VSA 31383 for the appointment, evaluation, or employment of a public official.
I second it.
I'll second it.
Okay.
What do you think?
Right.